Everybody, thank you for being here. Welcome, welcome. We are here for the Compassion Resilience Part 1 of our two-part webinar. And we know folks are just getting audio and video connected. Looks like we have a few more. The attendance just keeps going up and up and up, so I'm keeping an eye on it here. But good morning, everybody. My name is Andrea, and I am the Executive Director of the Community Action Partnership in North Dakota. I also serve as the Region 8 RPIC lead, and I'm super excited to welcome you guys to this two-part webinar. We're working with Beth and Kay from Compassion Resiliency, and I know a lot of you have attended their trainings in the past. And for those that are new, you are in for a treat. We're in excellent hands today. This is going to be a two-part webinar today and next Friday. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but before we get too far along, I want to make sure that we take a moment to do our promise of community action. So you are welcome to say this, unmute and say this along with me, and we can have some crazy fun internet chaos on a Friday morning, or you're welcome to just join along while you're muted. But community action changes people's lives, embodies the spirit of hope, improves communities, and makes America a better place to live. We care about the entire community, and we are dedicated to helping people help themselves and each other. So like I said, this is a two-part webinar with our friends Beth and Kay from Compassion Resiliency. We're here today, and then next Friday is the second part. We're going to be talking about dealing with difficult people and tips for improving client interaction and communication. We are going to have to take a pre and a post test today, but don't panic. It's like 3 questions. It'll be really easy. But before we move into the pre-test, I just want to touch on a minute on the Region 8 RPIC. Region 8 RPIC is the consortium of all of the state associations in our 6 states. So North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, Colorado, Utah, and Wyoming. All of the state associations in those states work collaboratively to bring you different training opportunities, like today's training. We have a website, region8rpic.org, that also offers additional training opportunities for you. Today's training is going to be recorded, and it's going to be made available to you in our Region 8 Moodle Academy. Many of you have been involved with our Region 8 Moodle, and some of you are new, and your timing is perfect because we're doing a relaunch of the online Moodle Academy. This is an online learning platform where each of you, as community action staff across Region 8, can access free of charge. So in the chat, we will put the instructions for joining the Region 8 Academy, and they are also on that website, on this one, region8rpic.org. The other thing you're going to find on our website is additional training opportunities, like these tech talks that Faith from North Dakota conducts for our region on a monthly basis. This is Faith's schedule for the remainder of 2025. The next training is April 17th, and Faith will be reviewing AI basics. I've seen her presentation. It is incredible. So there's opportunities for you to participate when Faith does this live on April 17th, and they'll also be cataloged in the Moodle Academy available there. Now with Moodle just getting its new relaunch and just kind of getting its sea legs again, the Tech Talks in their entirety won't be made available until closer to beginning of summer, but it's going to happen here. So really excited and encourage you all to take a peek at it. So not only do we have Moodle and we have Tech Talks, but we also have an upcoming conference. The Region 8 conference is hosted by our friends at the Colorado Community Action Association. We're going to be in Loveland, Colorado this year, July 15th through the 18th. We have family night planned for Thursday, July 17th. This registration isn't open yet, but it will be open just probably next week. We're hoping to kick it out. So registration will be coming soon. There's in-person options, there's virtual options. So want to get that on everybody's radar. So without further ado, I'm going to ask that you please introduce yourselves in the chat. I want to welcome again our friends from Compassion Resiliency, Beth and Kay. I've had the honor of working with these folks over the past several years, and they've become really integral in the trainings that we do in Region 8. And really, community action across the nation has been tapping into compassion resiliency. So again, we are in good hands, and Kay and Beth, welcome, and I will turn it over to you, friends.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm so glad to be back. I'm Beth.
And I'm Kay, and I'm trying to can you see my slides?
Yep. I think you need to hit the start slideshow.
Well, I can't even get on that.
Oh,
You're just not in presenter mode, Kay, but this totally works. We see the slide.
Are you still, Kay, are you still seeing the Zoom?
Yes.
Log into Zoom? Okay. Have you minimized your Zoom screen into your taskbar? Because it looks like you're showing the app to log in, but not the meeting itself. Do you see any part of the meeting, the participants?
I see the participants. Now I see it now.
Okay, perfect.
It's always something with tech, I'm telling you. And folks, the link for the pretest is in the chat and ready for your brilliant answers. So thank you. Thank you, Kay.
Yes. So welcome. It's Friday, or I like to say Friday. I'm Kay Glidden, and I am from Kearney, Nebraska, which is in the middle of Nebraska on I-80. Can't miss us. And my background is behavioral health and mental health. I was a therapist at the University of Nebraska Kearney for students for several years, and then I worked for many years at a public behavioral health agency. But Beth and I have been training for many, many years, and we go across the country and do things such as this. Communication, mindfulness, grief, compassion fatigue. So we're excited to be here again. So thank you, Andrea, for having us again.
and I'm Beth Reynolds Lewis, and I also live in Kearney, Nebraska, down the street from Kay, a little ways. It's not that big of a town. But super excited to be here. My background is I've worked in child protection and safety, doing child investigations, was a forensic interviewer for several years, and work now as a kind of a system coordinator on public behavioral health. And I've just started doing some training for disaster with the CCP work for the crisis workers through SAMHSA. So but these are our favorite things to train. So we're so excited that you guys are here, and thanks for coming. And we're very informal trainers, so ask us a lot of questions. We've got the Zoom to work, so all is good, right? Let the day begin.
So as Beth said, we're informal trainers. So if you need to take a break, please do so. And hopefully you'll come back. And we would like this to be more of a conversation that we're having with you, even while we're on Zoom. So if you want to unmute or add to the chat, Beth will be monitoring that. And we just would like it to be interactive because you all have a wealth of experience and knowledge from your positions, and it just adds to the knowledge for all of us and resources. So this is what we're going to talk about today. Today's is tips for improving communication and interaction. So some of the communication tips we're going to review are listening to understand, mindfulness, argue less, talk more. How do you build rapport? What are healthy boundaries? And then we are going to talk about scenarios, common workplace scenarios, where you will get a chance to think about how you would like to respond or what you would do in that situation. So we're going to talk about this first, some communication tips. So the biggest communication problem that we do have, everybody, is that we do not listen to understand, right? We listen to reply. We're not listening to what someone says because we're formulating what we're going to say next to the person. And if we really try to mindfully listen, we're not interrupting, the other person isn't defensive. And it's very hard to listen. Listening is a skill. If you've ever noticed that, most people are not good listeners. And the other part of that is to be curious by asking questions and open-ended questions and not being judgmental. So the first thing we're going to talk about is mindfulness. And if you look at the picture, the elderly woman in the front, she's the only one that is really living in the moment, right? Everybody wants to capture things on your phone, but you're not really there, right? And she's the only one that's really, truly in the moment. And mindfulness means paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. It's trying to be more present instead of worrying about the past or planning for the future. Most of us are not in the present moment during the day. So in mindfulness, you can be a dog or you can be a lion. Now, if you are a dog and I have this treat and I'm waving it in front of you, what are you going to do? You're just going to go for that treat, right? You're not going to think about it. You're just going to react, right? And if you are a lion, the lion's going to sit back and look at his options. He's going to respond how he wants to respond. So he's going to look at me and he's going to say, you know, that treat looks pretty good, but that lady, she has a lot of meat on her bones, and I'm just going to eat her too. So mindfulness is being a lion. You want to choose how you want to respond. You don't want to just react out of anger. You want to notice your feelings and notice what your body is doing, and then respond how you want to respond. Have any of you ever said something you wish you wouldn't have said? Have you ever texted something you wish you wouldn't have texted? Emailed? You can't get that back, right? And so you could potentially damage a relationship. And if you use mindfulness and you're in the present moment, you're going to take a pause and maybe do some breath work before you respond. Does that make sense for everybody? Beth, do you want to talk about what you do for this?
I have a little mantra that I use when I know, because seriously, raise your hands. How many people, I would say 75% of the time, you know that the conversation is going to be difficult, right? even when you walk in the room, you pick up the vibe, this is going to be a hard one, right? So in my head, I have this little mantra that I start, be the lion, be the lion, be the lion, be a curious lion, look for the treat, look for the treat, because that helps me be in the present moment. And then it kind of reminds me to slow down and breathe and really listen. I think all of us who are in those frontline professions where we're really working with people one-to-one have incredible spidey sense when we use it. So those spidey senses tell us or let us know, hey, this is going to be a difficult conversation, or maybe this is going to be hard for this person or challenging for this person today. So what can I do to help with that? Does that make sense?
So Beth and I have been mindfulness educators in the past. So we've had to take classes online so that we could teach a mindfulness curriculum for elementary schools in our community. And so we're mindfulness educators, right? So we think, we thought, okay, well, we're experts in mindfulness. Okay, well, we're not. Because mindfulness takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of daily practice to remind yourself to be in the moment and be fully present. And I'll give you an example of what happened to me. So I'm a mindfulness educator. So I go into this difficult meeting. It's about a contract. And I am saying to myself, okay, I'm going to be mindful. I'm not going to be defensive. I'm going to breathe and breathe. And I'm telling myself that. I sit down with this guy to talk about budget and contracts. And he says one sentence and I go, I mean, I just lose it. I just blow up. And really a proud moment of mine. And so I can't get that back, right? So I damaged that contract and that relationship. So if you are mindful while you are talking with people, people are going to feel safer talking to you because they see you listening, they see you head nodding, they see your eye contact, you're not on your phone, you're not on your computer, and you avoid making assumptions because, again, you're truly listening, you're not being defensive, you're learning more because you're actually listening, and both parties feel valued then. Problems are solved, misunderstandings become infrequent, your communication stays on topic, and you stop unintentionally offending people. Any comments or questions about that in the chat, about mindful communication? Do you want to, Beth, can you explain silencing response?
So silencing response is so subtle. Sometimes you don't realize you do it. But if you have a teenager at home, you've probably been silenced. Silencing response is when you look at the clock on the wall, or maybe you look at your phone, or you look at your watch, your Apple Watch, whatever it is. And instantly that gives the person the message that you're done talking to them, right? It can be very, very subtle. I see some people kind of laughing. And it's not that we mean to do it. It's not a deliberate act. It's kind of a subconscious thing. But you will find yourself, watch when other people do it to you. You will find yourself instantly picking up on that. So the silencing response is a hard one to kind of control, but once you start noticing it, you'll build your awareness. You'll build awareness of when you've been silenced and when you're silencing others.
So here's another example in my life. I have 3 children. They're all lovely people now because they're grown and they're out of the house. But at the time, I was a single mom and they were all teenagers at the same time, and they all tended to be in crisis at the same time. So I was taking many of them to different services across the state of Nebraska. And I was really in tune to this because we had one worker who did an intake with her back to us because she was on her laptop. There was no eye contact. There was no interaction at all. And I thought, wow, that's a big example of silencing response, when you're not even looking at your clients. So these are some mindfulness apps that people have said they like. This one with a smiley face is called Soothing Pod. A lot of them you can use with no charge, but of course, if you dig deeper, you can end up paying. But I do not pay. I do not pay for any of my apps. Do you want to talk about Insight Timer, Beth?
Sure. So Insight Timer is one of my favorite ones. And I also teach yoga and I talk about this a lot. But Insight Timer is a great one if you can't sleep at night, or if you're like me, you're getting up about 3 o'clock and the hamster gets on the wheel and I start ruminating, can't get it off. So what I'll do is I'll go onto Insight Timer. I'll find a sleep meditation that I like, either music or something that's more scripted, and I'll set it up on my phone. And so I'll just reach over, put my earbuds in and start it on my phone. And typically I'm asleep within 10 minutes. I don't make it through the whole thing. So you want to look at them and see if there's a voice or a script that you like, if you're going to use it for sleep, and have it set up so you aren't like turning on your phone, turning on the lights, it kind of defeats the purpose. But if you have it ready, it's right there handy for you. And if you have a husband like mine that snores all night, it's also really, really handy. You can stick your earbuds in and go back to sleep.
So if you have any apps you like, can you put those in the chat, please, so that we can all share what different apps we like in terms of mindfulness? So this is my new favorite book, The Next Conversation. Argue Less, Talk More. It just came out last week by Jefferson Fisher. He is a trial attorney who just started to talk about communication tips online. And he has a Facebook, he has a newsletter. The newsletter he sends is great because it's very short. It's just, the one I just got was how to handle a narcissist and 3 tips on how to handle a narcissist. So it's a very good book. I really highly recommend it. And I'm just starting to put some of the practices that he has in place. And in fact, yesterday I ran into a very rude person and I totally didn't use anything he said, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at it and say, how could I have, handled that situation better? So he says that there are 3 rules that can help with connection. And they're the 3 C's. So say it from your point of view with control and manage your emotions so they don't manage you. So you're having to do some emotional self-regulation. Say it with confidence because your tone and delivery matters as much as your words. And then say it to connect. And when you focus on understanding the other person's view, rather than trying to win, which is what we're used to, we want to win an argument, you get more out of what you want. And both people end up in a win-win situation. There's no loser.
I love something I just put in the chat, Kay, that I've been watching some of his work on YouTube with different people on podcasts. And one of the things he said is, when you're going into this type of conversation, remember, he said, can you put more water into a glass that's full? So when you're talking to somebody and they're in that kind of argument mode, their glass is full. You just got to sit back and let them verbally empty that glass before you're even going to be able to start the conversation. And for me, that was a great visual of really being ready to listen and then, saying your point of view with control and with confidence.
So instead of shouting, "That's not what I said," respond with, "What did you hear?" And approach tough conversations with something to learn rather than not something to prove. So real communication begins when you identify the struggle, not the argument. Your goal isn't to win, you're trying to understand. What is the struggle? It's easy to get stuck, like this picture in a tug of war where each person is pulling in their own direction, and then that just tightens the knot. And again, the key is to identify the struggle beneath the argument, just like finding the knot in the rope. And the goal is to unravel to the heart of the matter. And this is where the real communication begins. So you stop fighting against the person and start working through the issue. And it's a window into what the other person is struggling with. It's just a new way of looking at arguments. And, I've always thought, well, I have to get my point across or you have to yell to be heard. And this isn't like that. And we'll come back to more of Jefferson Fisher in a second, but let's go on to interaction tips. And we're going to talk about rapport and boundaries. So how do you typically build rapport with your, I should say, clients or your customers? Do you want to unmute or do you want to just put it in the chat?
Or both.
Yes.
Someone said, I find common ground with them.
That's good.
Absolutely. Offer water, be kind. I love that. A little bit of kindness goes a long way. I think water is great. Caring and understanding. Ask them how you can help them. Beautiful. Compassion. Absolutely. Empathy. I will say, thanks for coming here today. That's great. Start by listening without interrupting. So often people are relieved to have someone hear them, and then a conversation can start. Be a listening ear. Those are all great. Let them start the conversation with what they are willing to share. Sometimes that's really difficult, isn't it? Let them tell their story before start working on the problems. Excellent. These are all great.
So a lot of these you've said already. Remembering the person's name. You already said finding the common ground, meet them where they're at. Listen, listen, listen. You've said that a lot. Be genuine. You said be empathetic. Your body language. So what would be an example of good body language? Eye contact, head nodding, arms unfolded, right? You're standing or sitting in a comfortable distance from them. Humor, mirroring. Beth, you're sciencey, you can explain that one.
Yeah. So mirroring just means kind of doing what they're doing, right? To improve that comfort level. So if they're leaning back from you, maybe you lean back a little bit. If they're going, just be their mirror. If they're smiling, smile back, that type of thing. We used a lot of this in forensic interviewing with people. It really is just this idea that you're kind of truly invested in what the person is saying, truly listening, and different, working with different cultures has, of course, a different impact with that, but, being respectful. I also like the idea, and I don't know, do people set appointments with you? Right? Generally, shake your head. I can kind of see some people online. So you know a name, right? They set up an appointment. I would say, even though they set up the appointment under Jane Doe, when you go out and meet them for the first time, what do you like to be called or referred to? Some people have nicknames that they prefer, some people have this or that, and that's kind of a great start point too, I think. What else do we have, Kate? It's sometimes noticing pictures that they have. If you're going out to their home or um, meeting them someplace where they live.
What are the safe topics that you can talk about for small talk? The weather. What else are people saying about?
Sports. Somebody wrote not politics. Ditto,
Yes.
ditto. Angela said she has lived experience as a peer support specialist. Beautiful. I share a bit of my own common experience to empower my clients. I think that's lovely. Yeah. Everything but politics, weather. Absolutely. An
Maybe,
upcoming event in the community, like a concert or a
oh, that's
play.
nice.
Yeah.
Maybe
that's
if you're in home and they're watching something, you can comment about what they're watching or what they're reading.
Pets. Beautiful.
Pets are a big one. Yep.
Hopefully it's not, please put your dog away.
What are
Music.
some not so safe topics? You've already talked about politics, which is a big one in our state as well. What else?
Religion. Very good.
Yes, religion.
How I can help support the family and the child's experience in elementary school. Oh, that's cool. I like that. There's common ground right there, right? Things not opinions on others' choices. Yeah. Sometimes that's always great, isn't it? It starts off right, but that right off the bat with what somebody else thinks and what they're choosing to do and what this person's not willing to do. So that's a good one. Opinions on others. I like that, Maria.
Okay.
You guys got this.
Yes. All right. So this is a little discussion about boundaries and just giving notice that I struggle with boundaries. I am a people pleaser, and so I am working on this. This is one of the areas that I am working on. And as I told you, I have three children, and my boundaries were always pushed with my children, and I was never great at it. And so I'm just, this is my area of something to work on. So this is, these boundaries can sound like some of these things here. I can only stay an hour. That doesn't work for me. I don't answer emails after work. I hear what you're saying, but I have made my decision, or this is inappropriate. Please stop. We're going to have to take a break. I need some time to think. I can't give you an answer right now. When someone disrespects you, setting a boundary about protecting your values, not attacking theirs. So if we are actually having healthy boundaries, it is a form of self-care because we are taking good care of ourselves. And we can either look at it as a remote control where they're pushing our buttons and we're allowing that, or we can give them an operating manual of us, of what our values and what our boundaries are. And I like that, analogy. So defining the perimeter means, what are your values? What are your priorities? What's important to you? Is it your family time? Is it your mental health? Think about that right now and just jot down what are some values that you have in terms of your boundaries? And then,
And I was just going to say, Kate, I think for some people, just in the past, when we've done things face to face with people in large groups, sometimes when we're working with people, they'll talk about, I'm just so empathetic. I'm so empathetic. I'm so worn down from being so empathetic. So, in some aspects, that's a boundary too. Do you know what I mean? That you could look at. How can I still be empathetic, but how do I improve that boundary around that? Because it will wear
yeah.
you down. It will wear you down physically, emotionally, and mentally. So it's just an interesting way to look at it.
And
Well,
boundaries can help prevent burnout and resentment because you're by allocating your time and energy to what truly matters. So did anybody, Beth, did anybody talk about what their perimeters are, their values?
let's see. Okay. Christina wrote, empathy without boundaries is self-destruction. Might be missing some. Does anybody want to share?
So let's say, for example, your boundary is family time and you get a work project that was given to you in a short amount of time to accomplish and you have to work overtime. That's an example of what are you going to do, right? How are you going to respect your boundary and still keep your job? Sometimes it's difficult. So the remote control versus the manual, an example of that is I don't respond to disrespect. It is you give your nose and give your voice to your boundaries, instructing the details of how you want to operate. And so maybe it's after this session, writing down what are your boundaries in terms of your values and priorities, and how you want to operate.
Now we have some coming in. Sometimes I can work harder than my clients, and that is so good. You realize that because in my work, I see some of our staff doing that. I have to take a step back and remember not to get attached to the outcome because their growth or failure is on them, right? And that's how that person grows as a person. I totally agree with that. My top three are family time, self-care time, and hard boundary on work availability. Lovely. It's important to be consistent. Yes.
Yes,
I
that's a
tend,
big one. That's the
and
big
it's
one that I
hard.
fail on.
Yeah. It's hard. I tend to be like, I'll just do it. It will be easier this way. Yes, I'll just take care of it. How many of you are, I'll just take care of it. It'll be easier. Yeah.
Okay, so the remote control says, I have no control, but an operator's manual states I am in control. Here's an example of, I don't engage in conversation when I'm not ready.
That's a good one.
That would be an example of that. I don't engage in conversation when I'm not ready. If somebody just comes up and wants to slime all over you and just, verbally vomit all over you, you can go, hey, wait, whoa, I'm not ready. I am not ready for that. So enforcing, how do we enforce the boundaries? And that is begin with a boundary and using I statements. And we're going to talk about that formula in a minute. But if you use I statements, you're coming from how you feel so that the other person doesn't feel defensive, because you're not starting out a conversation saying, you, Beth, you did this, or you're demanding this, but you can say how you feel. And then add the consequence. The first is conditional. If you continue to, I am going to, with the action step. And then you have to follow through. And that's that consistency piece, because what happens if you don't follow through, right? They walk all over you, they push your buttons again. And the parents out there, we all know that, right? That that kids are really good at pushing our buttons and trying to get what they want. And then if we give in, what happens? We're not really sticking to our boundaries.
I think this one's really, really important too when you are, the times I've used this is when I'm working with individuals or maybe it's other providers and there gets to be a battle on the phone, right? And it gets a little out of control and you have to actually say, if you continue, I'm going to hang up type of conversation. And so, if you continue, I'm going to hang up and we'll have to schedule another time to discuss. So, whether it's face to face or over the phone, I think these are important boundaries.
So let's take that working weekends a little bit farther using the example. I don't work on weekends. If you continue to schedule me on weekends, I'm going to find a place that supports commitment to my family. And that we are worthy of setting boundaries, right? And we don't have to say yes all the time. No is an actual sentence. Anticipate the needs of others. We don't have to keep toxic people in our life. Sacrificing mental health for a job or relationships or friendships. Setting boundaries doesn't make you selfish, it makes you assertive and allows you to prioritize your own well-being. I need to put that sign somewhere where I can see it and look at it often. So if your boundary creates discomfort for another person, it's not a sign that the boundary is wrong, it's a sign that the boundary is working. So we're going to do some scenarios, and what I want you to do is just usually in a large group, we would have a group of people talk about the scenarios. But what I want you to do is write down what you would do, and then we'll have a conversation. We can unmute and have a conversation, a group conversation about how other people saw this, right? What they would do. What are the differences? What are the similarities? All right. So a client believes that all of her issues are an emergency. I'm sure you have all experienced this. She calls you, she emails, and she texts you every single day. And she may even do that after hours. So what would you do in terms of boundaries? Write down what you would say, what you would do. All right, we're going to give you a couple minutes to do that. Okay, is everybody ready? So if you could unmute, that will be great because then we can have a conversation about it. And there are no right or wrong answers on this because we all look at it differently, and you can get ideas from other people. So what would you do?
Okay, this is Andrea. I'll go first. I'm having even just thinking about this, I've been like, well, what if this was her situation, or what if that was her situation? Like I'm trying not to do that. So unicorn and rainbows vision is that I would redirect, like, I am so sorry you're experiencing this, thank you for reaching out. But as we've discussed, my hours are, XYZ, those types of things.
Great.
Easier said than done, though. I've
Yeah.
already, like, she's a fake person, and I'm already like trying to figure out how to help her out. You know what I mean? Like,
And that's what we do in this field, right? That's what we are hired to do. We are caregivers, we are empathetic, we nurture, we take care of people. And sometimes it's just really difficult for us to set those boundaries. What else?
Does anybody else want to share? There's a lot in the chat. Thank you all.
Do you want to
Do
just
you want
read
me to
some of
read some
those,
from the chat?
please?
Yeah. My organ
I'm afraid to move my screen, in fact, in case it goes down. So that's why I'm asking you to do it.
No, that's fine. I just want to make sure. My organization does not work on an emergency assistance level since we are long-term. Okay. For me, it's so hard not to answer the phone. I know.
Yeah.
Whoever
Yeah.
wrote that, I am totally there
Yeah.
with you. I
Yes, it's me. Yeah.
mm. Is that you, Josephina?
Yes, yes. I'm sorry, I can't see you. Just a minute, just a minute. Let me see if I can open my video. Okay, I'm here.
There
Can
you go.
you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm working in that. Okay, I'm working in no answer the phones and thinking that it's not an emergency. But it's hard for me. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
It
working in
is.
that.
Good, good. And I think if you what we do in our office a little bit is we remind people that we don't have emergency services. And then
Mhm.
we give them a list of numbers to call if they do have an emergency, just like even the
Yeah.
988 stuff. And then what was the third thing I was going to say? Oh, if you can kind of get it in your brain that, like, I have to do this with myself, that it's a teachable moment for them. And so if they're calling you on the weekend or after hours, then following up with them during work hours and saying, how did that get resolved for you? I'm so proud of you for being able to do that. I knew you could do it. It's so
Yeah.
hard though.
And we've had
Uh,
other staff tell us we have to really explain with them, talk with them about what is an emergency.
yeah.
Your definition of emergency is not the same as for me. So let's get some common ground on what emergency means.
Yeah,
That's
for me, sometimes it's always an emergency. But yeah, I know. I need to work in that.
Yeah, me too.
me too.
Anybody
Um,
else?
Christina wrote, I'm happy to discuss these matter during our regular scheduled time. That's a good one. In the meantime, would you feel comfortable writing down your thoughts? I love that. And we can discuss them when we get together. Let's see. I'll read one more here. Oh, shoot. Maybe I will. It skips pretty fast. Oh, someone wrote, unfortunately, we're not an emergency service. I'm not able to take your calls on the weekends. We can set up a time next week to talk if you need. Yeah, that's a good one. We've even had some staff that just blame it on the supervisor. My supervisor won't let me answer the phone call on the weekends. I'm like, if that's what you need right now to get through this, that's fine.
One time I did this presentation and the woman told me that her client, she tried everything with this. And her client then began almost like stalking her. Like when she would leave work.
Oh,
Yeah, and it got scary.
creepy.
Even though she did really try to set the boundaries, the person was not having it.
I like to
And
set a boundary right out the gate. During my intake or at the end of my intake, I explain that I have a cell phone number. They can text, they can call at any time, but the phone stays in my office and is only on me during work time. Um, I'm like, if you have questions, comments, you can email me and text me, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. My work guidelines state that I have 72 hours to respond. If because we're not emergency, and I know that everything in when you're in survival mode, everything is an emergency, and I
Yes.
like to validate their feelings and let them know that I understand that survival mode, everything is an emergency, but those are my boundaries right out the gate. I don't answer anything after usually like 4:20. 4:30 is when we clock out. So I'm like, feel free to text at any time. However, please do not get your feelings hurt or understand that I do not have my phone at me on me at all times.
I love
Excellent.
that. Yeah.
Because you're
And I like
setting those expectations in the beginning. Has
and
any,
oh,
what
sorry.
what have you found from that? Are people being respectful of that?
Yeah, actually, I usually if I get a text or something after hours, it's, "Hey, I won't hear from you till XYZ, but I was just thinking about this." And I mean, I work in rapid rehousing and homeless prevention, so it's really unless something I don't get emergency calls. I'm I try to connect my clients with the resources they need right off the gate, you know. But yeah, I feel lucky that I don't really get a lot of emergency calls. Maybe it's because I do set that
Yeah, because
boundary
you've already
and
set
set
that
the tone.
expectation.
Mhm.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
And I like that you talk about feelings. I don't mean to hurt your feelings. I love that because some people really do take it personally, and I think that takes care of it right in the get-go.
Anybody else? Ready for scenario 2? Again, this is just follow up to that scenario, defining what your boundaries are. And then think about that analogy again of a remote control versus an operator's manual. That you're not responding to somebody pushing your buttons, but instead you're telling people, these are my boundaries. Like you said, my cell stays in my office and I have so many hours to respond, for example. You're establishing that. And again, this is the kind of the format for boundaries, the I statements, the consequence, and the follow through. So this is an I statement. It's an oldie but a goodie. A lot of people have heard of them, but we're going to go over it. And it's important that we say this, but as we say it, it's important how we say it. So it's important to say it in a soft and even tone. You know, you don't want to be yelling an I statement. So I want you to just in your mind and write it down for yourself. You don't have to share it if you don't want to, but write down a issue that you have with somebody. You know, it can be trivial. It can be like, my husband never takes the trash out. I always take it out. And I'm going to talk to him about it. And I want you to use this format. All right. So we're going to give you a couple minutes to do that.
This is kind of on topic, but I have a 77-year-old mother that just moved in with me a year ago, and she's fighting everything, and everything is emergent and everything is loud. And um I have lowered my voice, and I'm like to almost a whisper when I talk to her, and I tell her that I'm not going to fight with her, and I feel so overwhelmed, and I'm doing the best that I can, and it makes her so much more angry. And so I'm like, I love you. I care about you. I'm doing the best that I can, and I will not fight with you. And so then I leave her alone. And
Was it working?
no, I need to up her meds. I need to make sure she's taking them first of all. But
But you're setting a boundary.
yeah. Well, and I just say
You're not going to fight with her
I'm not going to be angry. I will not raise my voice. I will
because
not.
that's probably what she wants you to do,
Oh
right?
no,
She
she
wants you to
absolutely 100%
she
wants to
wants you to
fight with
fight
me.
with her.
Wants me to fight with her. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have the work side and then now my home side, where I used to have like this divine work life balance where I was like, I love life outside of work. And now I'm like,
Where's your comfort?
which one do I want?
Yeah,
Believe me, I still
you need
find
a
it.
break.
I force it. I'm like, I'm having forced fun tonight. So,
Good.
but
You need it. You need a break because it's real. It can happen at work, it can happen at home, or it can be both places. And that's really hard. Yeah.
and then I have a wonderful friend group who gets angry for me. And they like, I just have to tell them what I'm going through, and they are so riled up. And I'm like, thank you for being angry for me because I cannot do that right now. I do not have the energy or the bandwidth to be angry at the situation, but I appreciate that you are my warrior and you are getting angry for me. And one of them's my daughter, and I just have to tell her a little bit, and she's like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm so angry for you. And I'm like, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, that's
Be
one way of
angry
getting it
for
out
me. Yeah.
vicariously.
It's nice though to have that group
Yeah.
thread where everyone's just like raw,
It's
and I'm like,
support.
thank
Yeah.
you, snaps to you.
Yeah. It's
I
seriously support.
like the forced fun verbiage. I'm gonna use
All
that
right.
more.
So did everybody do this? Does
Got
anybody
it?
does anybody want to be brave and share? Okay, well, I'll do one. Beth knows this one. Beth, I feel like you aren't listening to me when you're on your phone and we're talking. Because you're talking, but I'm talking. You're talking on the phone and I'm talking, and I just don't feel heard. So would it be okay if you put your phone down and while we're having a discussion? And how do you feel about that?
I feel that's fine, and thank you for letting me know.
So I'm saying right? I'm saying I throughout this. I'm not saying, get off your phone right now. I'm trying to talk to you, right? So then because she's automatically going to be defensive. I'm saying, in a soft, even tone, and this is happening not during when she's on the phone. I'm having this conversation when it's just she and I, no phones involved, right? So, You can do these for positive experiences as well. If you're a supervisor, you can use this format for your staff when you see them doing something right and doing it well. All right, moving on to the next scenario. Your boss keeps dumping new work on you with little instruction and not enough time. Despite working overtime, you are weeks behind. What would you do? All right, so I'm going to give you, again, a couple minutes to just jot down what would you do. Not that this would ever happen. Right, Andrea?
Yes, I do not know anything about that this week.
This is one that was hard for me in my past life, really hard for me.
How would you respond?
I think now I just say no. And I kind of laugh about it. I use
Well,
some humor.
what did you do at the time then?
Oh, at the time I just sucked it up. I just totally did it. I just put in more hours. And then
And that's when you had 2 little kids.
yeah. And then there would be
And you were a
feedback
single
about,
parent.
yeah, there would be feedback about, well, why do you have so much overtime? Why do you have, you know? So now I just say no and laugh. Nope, not gonna happen.
There was a point, my predecessor was trying to add another program, and I probably maybe didn't handle it with grace. I just said, absolutely not. You can't add this program unless you're going to hire help, and you're not even offering to like increase a wage. We don't have time, because the more programming you add, the less is our ability to give the programs we already have the due diligence they deserve. So I said, absolutely not. And it didn't go over very well, but we didn't take that program on.
Yeah. I think that was a lovely way to say it. I think that was lovely. I totally agree with that. And it's for the good, overall good of the staff and the people you serve and the company.
It's
So,
hard though, because it's your boss,
yeah.
and you have
And
that hierarchy. It's really hard.
mhm. And I think almost every job description always has that standard language, other duties as assigned. Kind of, "Oy, yeah, let me go out and paint your house." So,
Anybody else? Did anybody say anything in the chat, Beth?
oh, it's quantity versus quality. Absolutely. And I think the world we're living in right now, it's going to be a lot of quantity versus quality. Somebody wrote, which of these projects should be my top 3 priorities? Oh,
Oh,
I
I
like
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a
I'm
good
at
one.
capacity with my current project load. And I have used that a little bit. Which one would you like me to prioritize then? And how should, kind of putting it back on the person, help me prioritize them. What would you like me to do? I would sit down and explain that I have too much on my plate. If they continue to add to it after the conversation, I'd be forced to seek other employment for a better work-life balance. That's great. Just speaking with my boss, explaining that I don't have enough time. Good. Hopefully you have the relationship with your supervisor, administrator, whatever that is, that you can really talk. And sometimes I feel like for people in the sandwich zone, which is what I call, they're not the total boss of the organization, but they're maybe supervisors that have to answer to bosses, they get sandwiched, right? So they're being told by the leader or the leaders, you got to get this done. And so they're trying to figure out, how am I going to shuffle this down to get it done? So that it's like that trickle down effect. And so sometimes we do some training with supervisors in that sandwich zone because it is really difficult.
Yeah, because they're answering to somebody above them and they're also answering to their staff.
Yeah,
It's
it can be
hard.
rough.
Okay, scenario number 3. A client answers the door to meet you and is not wearing any pants. What would you do? Just jot down some ideas.
This is a real one. I'm
Yeah,
just
this
saying.
is real. This happens.
Somebody wrote, walk away and reschedule the meeting. I'll wait here until you get dressed. Debbie wrote, I don't do home visits. And maybe that's why. No. Yeah, those are all good ones.
We've heard things like, once you put your pants on, I can come in the door then. Right? Anybody have anything else?
Oh, funny. Maria wrote, as HR would send them home and probably ask for a drug screen. Jesse said, I don't go to people's homes, but if I did, I'd say, hey, buddy, our appointment is today. Want to go throw some pants on? That's nice.
That's a good one.
Stand there with your mouth open, roll your eyes. She didn't have anything on at all. Say, oh, I didn't mean to catch you unprepared for our meeting. That's great. I will wait here.
Yes.
Oh gosh, would walk away as well, would also advise once back in the office that future meetings would be either in virtual or in the office.
Good
If we're
one.
done
Good boundaries,
here.
people. You
Yeah,
guys are doing great with
yeah.
your boundaries.
Need to leave until they get dressed. That's good. Good. You guys did good.
The parents of your client are very impatient and want services for their son immediately, now. But that is just not going to be possible for you. What would you do? I'm sure you've never experienced this one. So just write it in the chat. Write it down to yourself.
Direct them to the SHIP hotline. I would direct them to emergency services. Listen and reflect their anger feelings so they feel heard. That's good.
Yeah.
Those are all good.
Anybody else?
Thank God most of our clients are elderly and don't have to deal with this issue. Hear them out, but stick to the rules. Good.
And Beth, you have this one a lot. What do you say? You know, you explain to people what the
Yeah,
situation is. Like you
I
only have
think,
so many beds in the system.
yeah,
I mean,
I
that
understand.
helps people when when they understand why.
Yeah, and I really try to listen to their frustration, and I also try to remind them that they aren't alone, right? They really aren't alone. And I think some people are just so scared. Primarily, we work with people who are in pretty serious crisis with their behavioral health needs, and that can be really scary for families. So that they aren't alone. You know, here's some resources in this middle ground. We'll do the best we can to try to get them referred on, that type of thing.
Yeah, it's hard.
It is hard.
Okay, I think there's one more. Just a reminder, no is a complete sentence. Scenario 5. This is more on a personal level. You like to go out early to dine at a restaurant, but your partner does not want to go that early. I'm talking like 4:30. And he or she gets irritated and shuts down. How would you resolve this situation? This is a true story in my family. My
I
brother,
was going to say,
my
who's like
sister-in-law is the early bird, and my brother-in-law or my brother does not want to go to eat that early. And whenever I go visit them, I hear this argument every single time. So
get out there.
help me with what to say.
Let's go late this time, early next time. Oh, very good. Let's have some green jello. That's
I just feel like if you don't want to starve, I suggest we go to dinner as a group at this time.
Oh, very good.
Okay. What else?
Want to come now and just have an appetizer or a side salad? Good. Compromise. If we can't, we can do our own thing. Very nice.
Anybody else?
All the time with my husband, LOL. I just start busy and wait for him to be ready. Sometimes he just needs to mentally prepare. Oh my gosh, I think I'm married to his brother.
And again, a reminder with this scenario. Approach the conversation with something to learn. Why do you want to go to eat that early? Can we compromise? Instead of 4 o'clock, can we go to 5 o'clock? You know, and a lot of it for her is just not having to wait in line. That's why she wants to, she doesn't want to, sit an hour waiting for a table. And so again, not having an argument about it, but really trying to understand the struggle. And that way you don't have to have a argument every time this happens, because they do. They have an argument every single time. Because he'll say, what time are we going? And she'll say 4:30, and then he'll blow up, right? So this way, really listening and trying to get a compromise or get it resolved so it doesn't have to continue. And I don't have to listen to it then as a sister.
You need to make the reservations. You need to be like, I'll make the
Oh, I
reservations.
couldn't get reservations till 6. I'm sorry.
But we won't have to wait in line because we have reservations.
Oh, yeah, she tries that too. She does try to get reservations. Okay, so let's talk about everything we talked about with these tips. Is there anything that hit home for you or that you want to work on that's a goal? I know mine, like I said, is boundaries, and also which we will talk about in April webinar. We're going to talk about dealing with difficult people, and one of them is dealing with rude people. So those are my areas that I need to work on. What do you need to work on, Beth?
I think the boundaries one is good for me. I think I'm trying to think what else. Just being able to say no is one that I need to do better with, whether it be families, work. And sometimes it's not necessarily a supervisor as much as it is peers at work. Well, you can cover that, can't you? No, I can't. You're gonna have to you're gonna have to do it, right? Not Kay though. Kay's always.
Right. So does anybody want to share? Is there anything in the chat, Beth?
Sorry, I accidentally muted. Boundaries for me, boundaries and confidence. That's good. Yeah, sometimes that's hard, isn't it? The confidence piece, saying it with confidence.
Yes.
I just
Me
thought
too.
of that. Can we get a PDF of the slides?
Yes.
Yeah.
I will send the PDF to Andrea.
Family abuse is undeniably one of the most challenging and heartbreaking situations to navigate. Yes, that's true. Boundaries and saying no firmly. Yes.
And
No,
maybe
when
it's on that
Me-
one, which is true for me. I need to like print out that no is a complete sentence and stick it, everywhere.
yeah, I need to start with my.
And again, what are my values? I need to write those out. And when something comes up, I can go back to those values and say, oh, family is a priority. And I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm sorry. I don't even have to say I'm sorry.
Yeah. I always laugh. I struggle with telling my dog no. So I'm like, then how can I say no at work? right? If I can't tell the dumb dog, no, no, you aren't going out right now. No, you aren't getting a treat right now. No, I'm not going to pet you right now. But how do I do it
That's
at work?
true.
It is true. People pet parent like they do their lives. Oh,
And
somebody
that's, I have
wrote,
a puppy. I have a puppy right now, and the puppy needs boundaries because he
Yeah.
doesn't know better. And so I have to set strict boundaries with him. And
someone wrote,
he's still feral.
yeah. My wife tells me no as a complete sentence all the time. And then somebody wrote, my cat bites my legs. Yeah, see, it goes for cats too. Well,
Anything
thanks.
else?
Yeah, thanks everybody for
Good participation.
I greatly appreciate it. It just makes it so much richer. I feel like I always learn from you all.
Here's our contact information. And we thank you for your presence today, because that is great. We're very happy to be here, and thank you for all you do. You have a hard job. You have hard jobs. So we hope we gave you some good ideas. And again, this book is really highly recommended. And as Beth said, he has podcasts, Facebook, email, ways to have access to him. And Andrea has 2 handouts that she will be sending you. One is a mindfulness resource list, and the other one has to do with grounding techniques, which helps you stay present in the moment. These are techniques to help you be mindful. And she will be sending you those. And you want to do the pre-post test?
Yes, we did the pre-test, and the post-test is in the chat. I'm going to put it down there again just to punt it up to the top. So would definitely, and it's real short, folks. So anything you can do to get that completed is appreciated. Now, I did not oversell it. I told you guys we were going to be in good hands with Kay and Beth, and they nailed it just like they always do. So, Kay and Beth, thank you so much for all of this great information. This was part 1. Remember, part 2 is next Friday, which, like you mentioned, Kay, my gosh, it's already going to be April.
I know. Can't believe that.
It's so unbelievable. And if for some reason you're not able to be there, remember it's going to be recorded and we're going to get it up in the Moodle Academy. So again, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you to our friends at Compassion Resiliency. You're going to get a copy of handouts and case slide deck, and then we're going to see you in a week. Thank you
Woohoo.
so
Have a
much,
good week.
everybody. Have a great weekend. Thank you so
Take care.
much. No is a
Bye-bye.
complete sentence. Don't forget that.
Be
Bye,
the lion, be
folks.
the lion. Bye.